Thank you for coming, everyone. This is the preview of NeuroBears. It is available on the website. It is there. You can go see it. So NeuroBears has been co-produced by myself, which is Pandas Online. I've spent many years volunteering with autistic young people. I'm an autistic adult. I'm also dyslexic. I think there's still spelling mistakes in this. You can find them. It's like an extra workbook. My passion is educating and training about autism. I sit on various volunteer groups, and my main interests are sensory experiences and creating safe spaces for autistic young people and adults. We've also been collaborating with SAP Advocacy. They are a young autistic adult child. They were diagnosed in 2014. They have other neurodivergences such as ADHD. They've been an autistic advocate since 2020 and spoken at 5 international conferences to date. And their specialism is creating sensory safe places, particularly in science centres. We also have Kieran Rose, who I will introduce on his behalf. Kieran is a published mainstream and academic author. He's an international speaker, trainer, researcher and consultant all over the world. His specialism is autistic masking, autistic burnout and autistic identity. He was diagnosed back in 2003. He's a dad to 3 neurodivergent children. Okay, so if you go on our website and purchase the course, this is the screen that you're going to find. There are roughly 90 minutes of pre-recorded videos broken down into 12 chapters, and these are to share with a safe adult, be that a parent, a carer, somebody else. There's also 5 other workbooks for the children and for the adults. NeuroBears is currently, it's on sale from our website, available to families. If you are a professional wanting to share NeuroBears with people you work with, at the minute, you need to get in touch and send me an email. I am working from people's feedback about how that might look as a sort of a standardized thing. So we've had some frequently asked questions. So who is NeuroBears for? There's been a lot of debate about age. So NeuroBears is aimed at anyone who can access it. If you've got one of those 5-year-olds that can tell you that is a brachiosaurus from the late Jurassic period, dug up by a paleontologist, this is for that child. If you've got a 16-year-old that's been diagnosed 10 years and they're spending all of their time on autistic ADHD TikTok, it might not be for them. However, one of the young people in our trial batch who was almost 15, and I know personally, they use this as a platform to share with their sibling and to teach their sibling about their autistic experience. So while there are some people who might not learn anything new from NeuroBears, there's a platform there and a safe space where they can add context to their experiences and an ability to share that with somebody who it might be really important to share it with. If your young person is new to being autistic, if they are newly diagnosed, if they're new to self-identifying, this is absolutely for them, 100% for them. If there are some sort of older young people who maybe have lots of co-occurring conditions, so they might have learning disabilities, and maybe they need to be slightly older before NeuroBears will be meaningful to them. But we are giving you, when you buy as a family, lifetime access. So if it's not ready right now, you've got all the time in the world to find a space when you are ready. So we've called the core group sort of at 7 to 12, but throughout NeuroBears, we are talking about not putting people into boxes. We are talking about not judging people based on external observations. So we are also trying not to do that. Our trial group used and experienced NeuroBears in completely their own way, outside of how we intended it to be used. So who am I to narrow that down? The safe adults who are encouraged to share NeuroBears with the young person will be key to individualizing that experience. Everything that you hear is written on the screen. You could run it with the sound, without the visuals. The adult could watch the videos and just use the workbook. We have literally given you like a field of options and the support in the workbooks to differentiate the course for personal need. So who's it for? As it's on sale on the website currently, it is for autistic families, with the idea that an adult buys it for a young person or young people within their household, because obviously quite a few of us have more than one neurodivergent child. Do people need to be diagnosed to watch NeuroBears? No, absolutely not. Self-identification is completely valid. There is one slide where we discuss diagnosis and the fact that this book, or the ICD-10, might have been used, and we talk about how those appointments might have felt. But we also go on in other videos to say that, you know, self-identification is valid, and the theme throughout is their identification of their autistic experience. So why do we think NeuroBears is important? We made this because there is no pre-diagnosis support. There is no post-diagnosis support. Young people are often talked about and observed rather than asked about their experiences. They're often invalidated if they try and share their experiences and not given a platform or a space to understand their autistic world, let alone a method to communicate that understanding. I wholeheartedly believe that a self-understanding and establishing, advocating for yourself, establishing, understanding your own needs should be innate before you hit adulthood. And we hope that this is a way to do. So I wrote it on paper, I wrote it on a computer, I rewrote it, and then we gave it to 12 people who we call critical panda friends. We made some changes based on their feedback. We completely changed the platform we were hosting on. We changed some of the videos. We elaborated on some points. You'll see that the workbooks are on before the videos. That was some of the feedback. In terms of the more sort of emotional based feedback, the overriding theme of it all was this started a communication within our household, between parents, between carers, between siblings. All of the critical panda friends picked a different favourite part. So I thought that was really quite telling that everybody had taken on a certain video or a certain moment that they particularly connected with. Every single one of them fed back to me that they thought it would be good for other autistic young people. And it was really interesting to see NeuroBears used in different ways beyond were sort of original intent. And we learned a lot of things from that group. For example, I wasn't sure NeuroBears was for young people in burnout or for young people who were struggling, but actually they fed back that this had been a positive conversation for the first ever time about their autistic experience. So To support the young people, to support the adults, we've got an adult workbook, which is the one on your right, hopefully, and a child's workbook that's the one on the left. And then there's sort of a workbook where they do the final questions out of every slide. So in the young people's one, we've got learning and understanding goals, the final slide questions, and we've got we ended up putting in little hints and tips, like what we would tell them if we could be with them in that room, which obviously we can't. In the adult one, learning, understanding goals, again, the final slide suggestions, hints and tips to just sort of try and put some of your adult hierarchy away for a couple of hours, and also further information. So we do an introduction to lots of things, but the further information can signpost you if you want to go off down a rabbit hole. If something's particularly interested them, that information's there for you. And the workbook has an ability to sort of draw things, write things that they might want to go and share it with other people. Okay, so do you want to see some? We're going to stop sharing this screen and we're going to go share.
Neurodivergence. Autism plus environment equals outcome.
These are our three bears: panda bear, brown bear, and polar bear. They all live in different environments and in different ways, but they all look like bears.
It's easy to tell the difference between different bears. They look different on the outside. Neurodivergence is harder to see, as we can't see people's brains from the outside.
In nature, it's normal to have many different types of animals and plants. This is called biodiversity. In humans, we have many different types of brains. This is called neurodiversity. If you have a brain type that not many people have, it's called neurodivergence. Autistic people are neurodivergent.
It's important to understand your needs and get your environment right. Pandas live in bamboo forests in the wild. They eat lots of bamboo, pretty much just bamboo. Pandas are brilliant at climbing trees. They even do handstands and go to the toilet up trees. Don't try this at home. They like a low stress environment. Pandas like to be alone much of the time.
Many pandas live in zoos now. The zoo needs to provide the right environment for them to be happy. Places to climb, quiet places to hide, space away from other pandas, and lots of the food that they like. If the pandas do not feel comfortable in their environment, they can start behaving in different ways, showing that they are upset.
There are many different types of brown bear. They're the most common species of bear, the biggest predator in many parts of the world. They can adapt to many environments. They can be found in mountains and deserts, as well as forests and near rivers. They eat a varied diet of meat, fish, greens, and fruits. Brown bears and pandas are both mammals.
Although polar bears look a similar shape and size to other bears, they're classed as marine animals because they're such good swimmers. They live in ice caves. They have a very strong sense of smell, and if you accidentally came across a polar bear, they would smell you before you even saw them. Polar bears only look white because their fur is translucent, which means it reflects the light. Their skin is actually black. If they try and hide, they cover their noses, so they can't be seen.
If you take polar bears out of the natural environment, like a zoo, the zoo has to do extra things to support the polar bear to be happy. They need somewhere to swim, someone to freeze their food in ice and hide it. Create quiet areas. Polar bears have very sensitive hearing. It's important visitors do not make too much noise and that there are no tannoy announcements. They need lots of space and a view so they don't feel trapped. Air conditioning for hot days. It's important that they stay cool. If polar bears do not get these things, they can show that they're unhappy.
The social model of disability is an important concept for autistic people. This means that just like our bears, if you put people in an environment that's not suitable for them, they'll struggle, feel bad, maybe even behave differently. You need the right environment in order to thrive. What does your perfect environment look like? What would you include in it? If you were a bear going into a zoo, what would you need to do to make sure you were happy, comfortable, healthy, and having all your needs met?
Feel free to send us your perfect environments. Maybe your perfect learning environment, home, or an activity centre. We would love to see them.
There are overarching themes throughout the training. So, for example, this logo is on the second to last slide of every slide, so that you know it's about to finish. So the next one is, have you got any questions? Okay.
We have a few already.
How do we get the course and how much? So you get it from the website, and it's currently listed at £55 English. Oh, we've got any other questions, Kieran?
Yeah, somebody's asked, once you purchase, how long do you get to work through the course? That question came after you talked about that bit,
Yeah.
so maybe
So
reiterate.
the course is lifetime access. So as long as the server in my house continues to run, you will have it.
There are two questions along the same lines. One has said, could I purchase NeuroBears for my support group? And another has said, could I purchase it for the resource provision that I manage?
So the answer is yes. We have, we're running an email system at the minute. We've had quite a few professionals come forward already. Some want to run it as a charity model, so that they're buying user IDs that they then draw funding from, so they can give to families who maybe live in poverty where it's outside their price range. I've also been approached by professionals who want to share it with the young people that they're working with. It will be in a different format, on a more yearly rolling contract. Currently, I'm very open to people telling me what they want, and hopefully we will then create a format where people can just go buy it directly from the website without having to talk to me. But at the minute, I need you to email me.
Next question, are there any live or interactive components, for example, with a larger community besides in person with friends or family?
We have no plans to run this live. I ran my charity live for 18 months during lockdown. It's hard work and I personally haven't recovered yet. So currently, no, there's no plans to run it live. I think you would have to run it with an extremely small group, and I think the need's too large to do it.
Okay. You're much more succinct at answering questions than I am. So next two questions around the same kind of theme. How school centric is it? My 7-year-old is home educated, and roughly how much of it focuses on school and school environments?
I'm not convinced schools particularly mentioned outside that one case where we talk about school. ZAP advocacy, Zoe is home educated. It's not particularly school centric. It is about the environments they access and how they experience their autism in their lives.
Next question. Has there been any input from PDA folk in creating this? Wondering how my son would take to it.
Sorry, can you say that again, Kieran?
Has there been any input from PDA folk in creating this? I'm wondering how my son would take to it.
So PDA is mentioned in one of the videos. We do talk about it. We talk about avoiding demands when you're stressed. There's not a specific section on it. I don't think it's not for people with PDA. I think it could actually very well be very for people with PDA, because it is absolutely about autonomy.
Okay. I would need 8 workbooks. Are they sold separately?
Currently, no. It's a conversation me and Kieran had today, because the workbook for the Inside of Autism is available on Amazon. I have priced doing a print to run workbook. Maybe you can print it yourself as many times as you want.
That's the thing. It's all the supporting materials are downloadable, aren't they? So you could print out as many as you wanted. You don't have to purchase separate kind of items or anything. Someone's obviously been on my training. How sanitized is the history of autism section?
Very. The history of autism section is a lot more just, this is Leo Canna, and it's been a bit bad since. It much more goes on to talk about this sort of framing in the DSM and the ICD-10, and then we do an absolutely positive spin on every single diagnostic criteria.
Okay. Next, there's been a bit of debate about koalas. Could you possibly add a koala bear that teaches masking, because they're not a bear?
So in the context of NeuroBears, Panda, although we never explicitly say this, just to be very clear, in my head, Panda's autistic. Brown bear's neurotypical, which is why in the masking videos Panda wears a brown bear mask, and polar bear goes on to represent everything that isn't autism in the what autism isn't video.
Yeah.
So he's got all the co-occurring conditions, poor lamb.
That's
all of
them. Will the recording of this session, this presentation, be available, because I'd like to run it past my autistic kids?
Yes.
Is it being emailed out?
It's probably going to go on the socials, so it'll be on Facebook, YouTube, which we can send links to, and all that QR code there takes you to.
Okay. Is there a way of slowing down the speech when a child's watching it so it's more accessible for them?
So me and Kieran are aware that we talk very quickly. At the minute, no, I've taken it off YouTube and put it on another hosting site, which I don't think you can fiddle with the speed on. However, every single word that we say is written on the screen, bar one video, and closed captions are absolutely on there. So you don't have to listen to us. If your child has a very specific sort of speed that they need to be spoken to at, then you can facilitate that. It's more than possible.
Is that something that might change over time, Nick?
I don't know if, because me and you speak at different speeds, whether slowing it via an app would make it any better.
Okay.
No, but maybe. I'm open to feedback.
Where are we? Will this be updated over time with feedback? And also, does lifetime mean that you get updated versions?
So yeah, if I updated it, you would absolutely get an updated version, and we are completely open to feedback. I think there's more to be said that might, I think there's a teenager course in work. I think there's stuff about sexual health, all sorts of teenagery type stuff. I think that's in with the way. So if we did that, that would probably be put as a separate thing.
Yeah.
But in terms of this being updated based on feedback, I wouldn't increase price. Well, I wouldn't charge extra to what you'd already paid.
Okay. I'm an educational psychologist. Is there a view to make a version for use in schools?
There's not particularly a view to make a different version for schools, but there is a view to sharing this format in ways that you can deliver to small groups of children, for example, in schools. But the price that we have put it out in the format that we've put it in in terms of £55 lifetime access is very much morally and emotionally aimed at families where a lot of families live in poverty, have less access to work because they have disabled children.
Is it available in the US?
It's available everywhere.
Although you do have to put up with our accents. Someone's asked, do you print off the worksheets that you showed on the front page? I'm presuming that's the...
Yeah, absolutely, you can. I've just done it so I could read what introductions feel.
Okay.
It's there.
Someone's asked, is it possible to change the colour scheme depending what suits an individual?
No, but that is possible to be changed. Maybe.
If people have different accessibility needs, then we can explore those, can't we? And see what we can do. Yeah. So you would just need to get in touch, email Nick at info@pandasonline.org. I'll put that in the chat, or if someone wants to put that in the chat. The next question is, do the videos have subtitles or a sign language option?
They're currently captioned. They're not currently captioned perfectly. That's currently being worked on. We don't have a sign language option yet.
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 Yet. Right, I've completely lost my place in the chat now, so bear with me just a second. The chat is going so quickly.
It does, doesn't it?
Eliza, have you recorded any while I've been asking, or?
Oops, no, I've been reading them. I know probably whereabouts you're at, but
oh yeah, no, I found it. I found
it. Okay.
Yeah. What's the length of the longest video? The one we just watched felt like a great length.
The last one was 4 minutes. The longest one is 13 minutes, I think. There are a couple around the 10 mark. Most of them, I think there's 3 around the 10 mark, a couple around the 5, but the ones that are nearer the 10 mark have very clear places where you could potentially stop.
Yeah, there's clear pause points, aren't there? And even the shorter videos, obviously you don't have to watch the whole video in one sitting. You can, even if you watched it first as a parent or carer or facilitator and then thought, well, there's a natural place to stop there, so that if the child only works in short bursts, or the young person only works in short bursts, yeah, then that's fine. Question. Sorry I missed this, only just been able to join. Will there be another presentation or slides of the presentation?
There'll be a recording.
Yeah, the recording of this one.
Yeah. I don't know. If everyone demands another one of these, maybe.
Somebody's asked, can you pay over a few months? So are there payment options?
Currently not. But we could work something out if you email me.
Someone said, how long is that? I haven't finished their question there.
The whole thing's 90 minutes. Yeah.
Question, is there a preview, just like the video we've just seen, so families can get a feel before buying?
So back in April, we did something for Autism Acceptance Week, which is very, very like this course. That's on YouTube, it's on my social medias. And yeah, it sort of follows the same kind of feel.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Where can we find that? Is that that's on your Facebook page?
It's on Facebook, it's on YouTube. Again, the QR code takes you place.
You could resend it out to your mailing list as well, because I presume most people here will be on your mailing list.
I could add it.
You could do that. Oh, here's a good question. You might not know the answer to this one. Is there a course like this available for newly diagnosed adults, or any plans to develop one or adapt it to adults, please?
So we did this the other way round. Me and Kieran have ran something called the Inside of Autism for 2.5 years now. Mm-hmm. And the Inside of Autism is very much an 18+ situation. And we were asked some more to create a filtered children-friendly version. So actually anyone who's been on the Inside of Autism will follow like that it came through a similar flow.
Yeah. Question, down the line, will you make something for older teens or young adults?
So I absolutely have a teen course which would take you into young adulthood in my head. I think it'll probably be staying in my head for a little while longer. This took me 9 months. So yeah, it's definitely, it's there. It's in my head. I think we absolutely need to do sexual health and
Yeah,
puberty and all that sort of thing.
Well,
Absolutely needs to happen. At some point.
next question. Do you have advice for how to introduce this to a PDA? My 5-year-old PDA sitting next to me was super into this until she saw how excited I got about it. It's hard to be neutral because of how amazing this looks.
So my PDA told me to stop talking about NeuroBears on Saturday. In reality, some of the trial batch, the children have accessed it and the young people have accessed it when the parents being watching it. So by stealth.
Yeah, have it on in the room.
Have it on in the background. In the
And pay no attention to it whatsoever.
Leave
Don't even
the
mention.
workbooks scattered around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
And
is
also they're 5 in the PDA, and there's time. My youngest much preferred Autism Myths before we actually recorded it and when they could narrate it. Options.
This is a question for Victoria, so you can imagine where this one's coming from. How are you two coping in a major role reversal?
Brilliantly.
I'm enjoying this.
Being in charge.
I never realised how easy this side of doing things is, Victoria.
I think that's the question.
Yeah, Tanya Adkin, who is also an advocate and also is PDA, has backed that up and said, don't get excited about it and leave it running. They will want to know what you're doing. So, yeah. Someone said, if we're thinking about buying it for like a provision, would it be possible to have some different links and some different examples in order to show head teachers or Senkos or...
Yeah, potentially. So one of the things that we trialed this week, which I've had to do again because I understood the demand from families. I got that, I understood it. So the website has been set up for that. But something that I did with one of the psychologists who's asked for it was give them 48 hours free access this week so they could look at it and see it in its full before they've gone on to purchase it for a year to share with their young people. At the minute, I have to do that manually with the code on my website. But if that's what people want and they tell me that's what I want, then we can program that in so that happens.
Okay.
I am very much awful at imagining what people want. So if you come and tell me, I will go and do it. But I need that sort of, this is what I really want from this. Yeah.
So basically email Nick, and
email me.
You can have a chat about how we can meet. Is your mark in tonight, by the way?
Yes, he is.
Right, okay. I'm presuming this is him then, because he said that you can change the speed by clicking on the cog icon.
So the IT department has said apparently you can do that, and I just didn't know.
Yeah.
There you go.
So the person who asked the question has said that they found me quite clear, but actually it was your accent that was a little difficult at speed, which obviously we can't help. So, but yeah. So if you can change the speed of the video as the video plays and slow us down, then it might be a little bit more accessible. How much do the associated cuddly toys sell for? Because I know my kids will want them.
This is not the first time I've been asked about it. Give me a minute. Like, give me time. We'll have a panda with a mask.
I think a few people who are new to us are presuming that the triple pandas in the background of each of our videos is
no, that's an internal joke.
Yeah. Those are for sale, but not by us.
They're not even for sale anymore.
Oh, they're not. Are they not making them anymore? Oh, they're super rare pandas now. They're endangered.
Cuddly toys. I can see cuddly toys. I really can. I can. Yeah, I can.
So someone who we know very well is a psychologist and said, really like the look of this, would be good to recommend in our reports. But before they did, they would really benefit from seeing the entire course, obviously on a one-to-one basis, so that then they can recommend it onwards rather than a kind of, they want to see it so they can use it. Would that be possible, and could we have a chat about it?
Yeah, I think there's possibly a clear demand for a small window preview time.
Yeah.
So IT's in the chat. He's already overworked. We can sort it out.
So yeah, so if you are coming from a professional kind of background and you're thinking about this in terms of purchasing a license or recommending it onto your clients, then definitely email Nick, and you can have a conversation about that. That's info@pandasonline.org. Question: do you have a suggestion, recommendation for how to complete the program as a family or solo? So on a certain day of the week, to allow bite-sized chunks over the course of a week. I have 2 10-year-olds and a 14-year-old, all of whom I think are autistic.
It's very individually. I mean, an hour and a half in theory for some people isn't long, but for some people 3 minutes is quite long. I recommend sitting down with a bunch of fidgets for a start.
And even doing it with three individual children's got to be difficult anyway, because they're all going to have individual attention needs and
all talk over it.
Yeah, exactly. So they might need to do it separately.
They might need to do it separately, and again, you don't know what other co-occurring, just housefuls of ADHD in my place, so very different context.
Someone said, I love the idea of buying the bears because it can be like a congratulations present. No pressure, Nick. And then other people are saying, yes, please can we buy the toys? So
whoever wants to pitch that to the NHS, that you get your autism diagnosis and a panda.
Well, that's your job for tomorrow. You're going to source out getting pandas made now.
Okay.
So this isn't a question, this is a comment. Someone said, I think there's so much scope for this to form part of the PSHCE curriculum, possibly tying in with Autism Awareness or Acceptance Week.
Yeah. So my background's chairing a charity, and I kind of felt a lot of pressure this sort of Autism Acceptance Week to sort of put something out, to sort of put a feeler out about NeuroBears. And that went viral. I'd only just made my Facebook page. I had like 200 likes, and 500,000 people saw that post. And I think the YouTube video is up to 15k views, and I know for a fact that it was shared in a lot of schools because people came back and told me that it was. Yeah, I can absolutely see this in schools. I think there's a lot of capacity and room and potential understanding of that, which will be a lot better than some of the things that's currently being taught now about eye contact.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. I have an 11-year-old autistic son. Is the idea that he works through the book on his own or with an adult?
So the idea of a sort of, when we started this, we were calling it a sort of a watch with mother sort of concept, sort of harking back to, TV in the
1960s.
So what we recognise throughout the course is that these children and young people are at the point of their lives where they have the least amount of control over their environment, over every aspect of how their life looks. So we need to be sharing this course with a safe adult, because they are the person that can make those changes, that can address those needs that are identified, that they can talk sort of through this autistic experience with them and attempt to make accommodations and alterations accordingly. yeah, I absolutely want this to be autistic young person, safe adult, because they are in no position to sort of make any accommodations that they identify themselves. Because as a child, as a young person, you just don't have that power.
And of course, there will be some children that might want to do this independently.
Absolutely.
But so obviously, again, like with many things, it's depends on your child or the person that you're working with or supporting, and depends what they want and how they want to do things. I guess it's everyone's individual, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Somebody else has asked as well, can it be paid in installments?
I think if people need to do that, they can get in touch with me at the minute. My website's currently not set up to do it, but that doesn't mean that we can't sort it out.
Yeah. Someone's asked how much is the course?
It's £55 still.
Does it mention ADHD?
Yes. So we do quite a big section, and again, for those who have been on the inside of autism, not that big. But we do what autism isn't, and I think we broke it down to 13.
Yes, it was 13. I think it was 13.
But yes, ADHD is covered in that directly, and then lots of the other things that we talk about, such as the double empathy problem and monotropism, and it can all be linked back and merged in.
Someone has asked for clarification. Are the workbooks posted out, or do you have to print them off?
No, you print them off at the minute.
Yeah. Again, someone said I forgot my ADHD meds, which means time blindness totally kicked in. Will I be able to watch the replay, and where will it be?
I'm gonna put it on my social medias and my YouTubes, and I will hopefully send out a link. I'm not too good with how Eventbrite works, which is how you guys booked, but I'm sure I will figure it out.
Mm-hmm. A few people are mentioning sign language. Someone's made some suggestions, and someone's mentioned Rachel from Autistic Parents UK actually.
It was who first came to mind when somebody said that.
Yeah.
I mean, sort of to add some context, I have completely rearranged my life this year to run inside of autism and create this, and I have had to pay upfront quite a lot of business costs out of my own money, and there is only so much of that you can do. So when that levels out a bit, we can go and pay other people to collaborate with me.
Yeah. We've got Andy Smith from Spectrum Gaming here. Hi, Andy. Is there a way to change my password on the website? I seem to have forgotten it already in my excitement to buy it.
I'll ask
Well done, Andy.
She'll figure that out.
Oh, I love being part of this community. Okay. Is the price likely to stay the same for the next few weeks?
For the next few weeks, absolutely.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
Someone else has asked about ADHD. Someone said, what's your YouTube page?
I think my YouTube now has my official name. So it's YouTube, and then Pandas Online 2022. I want to say, let's scan a QR code and find out. You've got to have so many subscribers before you can give it your proper name.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I've tried Googling it and I couldn't actually find it, so I could share.
You're invisible, Nicola. Why don't you drop it in the chat?
Let's have a look. I shall.
Oh.
Nobody wanted that. Sorry. Nobody wanted that at all. Sure.
Could you send your YouTube link out to the mailing list, and then that takes pressure off you finding it now?
I've got it.
Well,
send it to you.
It's already been shared.
Oh, it's been shared.
See, it is Pandas
someone's
Online.
on it.
Thanks, Andy.
No, I couldn't find it.
Someone's asked again. Sorry if we already answered. The 3 age ranges mentioned at the start, so the 4 to 6, 7 to 12, and 13 plus. Am I just confused, or does that mean that there are 3 different courses and 3 different workbooks?
That was Kieran's attempt at a Venn diagram.
It started out as a Venn diagram, and then the Venn diagram was removed, I would like to add.
That is exactly what you sent me. No, we were talking about how we think it's suitable for sort of like 99% of children within that age group, but outlining either way that there will be children who are younger who can absolutely appreciate it, and young people who are older who can absolutely appreciate it. We've just, I never wanted to call an age range for this, but it's been such a frequently asked question that I've sort of called it.
Yeah.
But I think the home educator in me is sort of children don't learn in a linear manner and stuff like that, and that they don't learn according to their age. So there's sort of that. If you will know the individual child if they're ready to sit and learn something, they're ready, and that's not necessarily anything to do with age.
Yeah. So to clarify, there is one course and there are one set of workbooks. The 7 to 12 is a kind of core age group, just because people have asked us what age group it's for, but you don't have to be part of that age group in order to be able to access it. It's not an intention that only people of those ages can access it. Someone's asked how they join the mailing list.
Currently that's off my website because we're swapping over. Look out on my social medias.
Okay. 87 messages to go, and I'm still at 8:39 and it's 8:56. Question: is there a donate button on your website for folks who'd like to donate, for those who can't afford the full cost? So can people pay it forward via the website? Not yet, they can't, can they?
Not yet, they can't. I would have to look into it, although I know a huge amount about running a charity. Pandas Online is currently registered as an LTD because I ran through all the options, and that's what I went with.
So we have, just to clarify on that, we have people who pay for other people on the inside of autism. So people who like to donate some money that we just put in a pot, and we already have bursary places on the inside of autism, and we add extra bursary places from that pot. So if anybody does want to pay it forward through there, that's how we work it. But obviously Nick's running a separate business, so that would depend on how Nick wants to run things.
Yes, potentially, but not yet.
They'd have to talk to you again, wouldn't they? It would have to be an email conversation.
Is there going to be a clothing range? No.
Yeah, someone said, are there going to be badges and pins as well? I think you need to look into this now. Someone said they think they've broken your website because they've just bought it and now they're stuck at the login screen.
So if you go into the top right hand corner, you should be able to log in. Sometimes, depending on what browser you're using, it can take you back to an odd screen. But if you go into the 3 lines at the top right corner and sign in, it's there.
Okay. IT's asked if we're keeping a copy of the comments because there's good ideas for features here. We'll have the chat saved.
We'll save the chat IT department.
Someone said, I would appreciate the extra information for my school. Would it be possible to arrange a 48-hour link or something similar, and could you let me know how to contact you?
So you can contact me at info@pandasonline.org, and we will make things on demand.
Yeah, and someone said, what would the yearly cost be for schools? Again, they would need to talk to you about that, wouldn't they?
We've got a bit of a formula in my head, but it's absolutely based on size.
Can you put your email in the chat so that everyone can see it? Again, someone's asked how they join the mailing list. So if you put the links to your social media in as well, Nick, and then, because if the minute people can't join your mailing list just temporarily.
That's my email. Oh,
yeah, there's a few people who've asked about the mailing list.
I am currently using a mailing list, but I'm about to swap over to an internal one, and I don't want to add more people just now.
Everybody wants the bears.
Yeah.
Someone said this is far, far better than Signet, and you've only seen 4 minutes of it. That's I don't know if that's high praise or
Not hard.
it's not a great Signet.
Funnily enough, on the inside of
benchmark, to be
autism
honest.
this week, people who delivered Signet were talking about how they rewrite Signet. Maybe we need to add that bit. Okay.
I'm getting towards the end now. There's only 96 messages to go. Someone said, sorry if they've missed it, but how do I purchase? So if we can drop a link again. I know there's been links dropped all the way through. Also, if you follow the QR, take a photo of the QR code on the screen as well. Question for IT. I'm trying to purchase, but it's not working. I think they've crashed the website.
I mean, there's stress tests and the stress tests.
It certainly is. Andy says he's a plonker. We're not going to disagree.
We love him.
Someone said, did you say before that every diagnostic criteria has a positive spin put on it in the videos?
Maybe not everyone. Everyone might be a bit of an exaggeration, but a lot of them, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that there's a positive spin on things. It's more that they're presented as neutral. You know, they're not things that are presented as awful deficits that are going to ruin your life or have ruined your life or things like that. That it's more accessing this in a kind of neutral way. That this is what it's called. This is how it's described, and this is what it might mean for you. So that's kind of how it's presented. Yeah, is there going to be a clothing range? I've had a message from IT to say that tech support is currently parenting, but is going to catch up with support after this event. So
somebody's parenting.
If your page is frozen, do not panic. If something's gone wrong, just be patient or email Nick at info@pandasonline.org and they will get you sorted out.
Absolutely.
Shall we say good night?
Yeah, I think we should. It's after 9.
So.
I want to thank you all for coming. You've been amazing and supportive, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.